Shalakaya Chakshurummilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtotar Sata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Mayi Ki Jai, Jamuna Mayi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, and welcome everyone for Srimad Sri Caitanya-caritamrta class with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Thursday, June 20th, 2024 in New York, and we are in the 8th chapter of Adi-lila, tonight starting with text number 34, if I am not mistaken.
Yes, that's right.
Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Krishna Lila Bhagavate Kahe Vedavyasa. Caitanya Lila Vyasa Vrindavanadasa. As Vyasadeva has compiled all the pastimes of Lord Krishna in Srimad-Bhagavatam, Thakur Vrindavan Das has depicted the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Vrindavanadasa Koila Chaitanya Mangala Yanara Shravanina She Sarva Amangala. Thakur Vrindavan Das has composed Sri Chaitanya Mangala. Hearing this book annihilates all misfortune. Chaitanya Nitaira Jate Janiye Mahima Yate Jani Krishna Bhakti Siddhantera Sima. By reading Sri Chaitanya Mangala, one can understand all the glories and truths of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda and come to the ultimate conclusion of devotional service to Lord Krishna. Srimad-Bhagavatam is the authoritative reference book from which to understand devotional service, but because it is very elaborate, few men can understand its purport. Srimad-Bhagavatam is the original commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, which is called Nyaya Prasthana. It was written to enable one to understand the absolute truth through infallible logic and argument, and therefore its natural commentary, Srimad-Bhagavatam, is extremely elaborate. Professional reciters have created the impression that Srimad-Bhagavatam deals only with Krishna's Rasa-lila, although Krishna's Rasa-lila is described only in chapters 29 through 33 of the 10th canto. They have, in this way, presented Krishna to the Western world as a great woman hunter, and therefore we sometimes have to deal with such misconceptions in preaching. Another difficulty in understanding Srimad-Bhagavatam is that the professional reciters have introduced Bhagavat Saptaha, or 7-day readings of the Bhagavatam. They want to finish Srimad-Bhagavatam in a week, although it is so sublime that even one verse of Srimad-Bhagavatam, if properly explained, cannot be completed in 3 months. Under these circumstances, it is a great aid for the common man to read Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur's Chaitanya Bhagavat, for thus he can actually understand devotional service, Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, and Nityananda. Srila Rupa Goswami has said, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidin Vina Vaikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpatayaiva Kalpate. Devotional service to the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures, the Upanishads, Puranas, Narada Pancharatra, etc., is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. Due to misunderstanding Srimad-Bhagavatam, people are misled regarding the science of Krishna. However, by reading Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur's book, one can very easily understand this science. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanshakalpatarubhyas Chakripā Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In the previous class, we ended with this verse, O fools, just read Sri Chaitanya Mangala. by reading this book, you can understand all the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And here in these verses so far, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj is further glorifying Vrindavan Das Thakur and Sri Chaitanya Mangala, because they enable one to understand the truths of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of devotional service, because they provide a glimpse into the activities, the pastimes of the Lord. They show the philosophy in action, just as the Bhagavatam does for the Vedanta Sutra. And one could say, just as books such as the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita do for the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. He's showing the philosophy in action up close, and which, if a person unfamiliar with the philosophy, with the culture, was not able to see, maybe wouldn't believe that it could even be done. But there we have it. These books are presented for us to see practical examples of the philosophy in action. Maharaj, we'd love to hear from you. Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Kendra Prabhu. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There's a lot here. Krishna Bhakti Siddhanter Shima. The Kavir, well, we know about the offense of Marjada Vyatikrama. The Marjada Vyatikrama means overstepping the etiquette, especially by presuming to surpass the previous authorities. The Maryada Vyatikrama. The one commentator said to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I've written a better commentary on Srimad-Bhagavatam than Sridhar Swami. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sarcastically remarked that anyone who disregards the Swami is a prostitute. He was playing on the double meaning of Swami. Swami means Sridhar Swami and Swami means husband. So the person who disregards the Swami is a prostitute. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointed out the fault of Maryada Vyatikrama. But here, Kaviraj Goswami shows the example of how to respect the previous acharyas, the previous authors. He glorifies Vrindavan Das Thakur as the Vyas of Chaitanya-lila that will come, and as having written such wonderful literature. And he explains later that I'm just filling in the parts that he didn't discuss. So this is the behavior of a Vaishnava. He takes pleasure in glorifying the predecessor authors, the predecessor acharyas, not in, as the mundane scholars do, giving sort of faint praise and saying, yes, he was wrote wonderful, but I've fixed his errors. I've come up with the still better philosophy. That's not the mood of a Vaishnava. Prabhupada also points out that Srimad-Bhagavatam is a commentary on Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra represents Nyaya Prasthana, the evidence of logic. Nyaya means logic. So the Bhagavatam is the commentary on Vedanta Sutra, meant to help us understand the absolute truth of the personality of Godhead. And so it's quite the science. It's not a light thing. But the professional reciters take it cheaply, and they recite Srimad-Bhagavatam mainly from 10th canto, and especially from the Rasa Panchodhyay, to give pleasure to the audience and not to give pleasure to Krishna. So they present Krishna as a woman hunter, and in so many ways try to screw out their own meanings and make a 7-day affair of it. And these are huge affairs, by the way. I've been to one Bhagavad recitation outside the Red Fort in Delhi, and it just extended on and on. They had a huge, not one pandal, but sort of on and on, extending pandal with video monitors every few feet so that you could see the very distant reciter. And he had a wonderful band that would play for him when he wanted to sing. But these professionals don't make people devotees. And Prabhupada mentions that, what to speak of 7 days, even one verse can't be explained fully in 3 months. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur explained the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam every day for 3 months in Dhaka. Dhaka was his third center, by the way. The first one was at Mahaprabhu's birthplace. The second was at Bagbajar in Calcutta. Second one was in Calcutta, and the third was in Dhaka. So at his Dhaka center, he explained Srimad Bhagavatam, first verse for 3 months. Then Prabhupada says that the conclusions, siddhantas, of Srimad Bhagavatam are presented in a way that people can understand easily in Chaitanya Mangal, which was the original name of Chaitanya Bhagavatam. Lochan Das Thakur wrote Chaitanya Mangal, a book called by the same name. Then Vrindavan Das Thakur changed the name of his book to Chaitanya Bhagavat. Hare Krishna.
Jai Maharaj, thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Panchatattva Prabhu provides some expert excerpt from a purport to Bhagavatam 3:426 on the topic of Maryada Vyatikrama. Although one may be well versed in the transcendental science, one should be careful about the offense of Maryada Vyatikrama, or impertinently surpassing a greater personality. According to scriptural injunction, one should be very careful of transgressing the law of Maryada Vyatikrama, because by so doing, one loses his duration of life, his opulence, fame, and piety, and the blessings of all the world. Thank you, Panchatattva Prabhu. Are you ready to read?
There's a question from Radhesha.
Just on that topic, so the person who's committing the aparad, he's losing all of those good qualities. But the commentary, for example, that was considered offensive to Sridhar Swami, still it must have had some value, right? Well, you could probably, if you were to read such a commentary, you must derive some wonderful illustration, deeper insights on the pastimes or different ways of understanding it. It's offensive from his side, but he's a devotee nonetheless, and certainly there's some good points there.
Certainly something must be there. It's quite a celebrated commentary, but that remark is still there.
Does that remark make it that the commentary itself is distasteful for us? Would we not want to read that as those who are faithful to Sridhar Swami's commentary?
Our acharyas don't, as far as I know, don't refer to it very much. I think there are a couple of references someplace. There are a couple of references. I think Jiva Goswami may sometimes have referred to that commentary, but not the way that the writings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's followers have been extensively mentioned, or that Sridhar Swami has been. Or you look at Prabhupada's purports, he may sometimes mention, very rarely, that commentary. But everywhere, Veera Raghavacharya, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sridhar Swami, Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami. So it's not that the commentary is off limits or has no value, but you can see from Prabhupada's example where he goes for explaining Srimad-Bhagavatam.
Tulsi Priya, just to jump off on that point, she says, it would seem that the superior attitude kind of poisons the whole thing.
Well, it's certainly, what's the word? It's not a good recommendation, is it, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes a remark like that. But still, that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's on the highest exalted platform. So we need to be careful. What platform are we on? We're like little neophytes. If we can manage to write a halfway decent article for BTG, we consider ourselves quite accomplished. So we should be careful. The same Maryada Vyatikrama, not to deprecate great devotees, even if they're not in our line. We need to be always respectful and careful. Of course, the Mayavadis we don't give much honor to, but at least the Vaishnava commentators, even the Mayavadis, Prabhupada, sometimes he's not disrespectful to Shankaracharya. He just points out his faults, the faults in his conclusions. But certainly with the Vaishnavas, we should be very careful. We're not so great.
Hare Krishna. Saraswati Mata says, Pranams. Vaishnavas should be humble and observe the proper etiquette, but we hear that the Sri Sampradaya Acharyas didn't accept the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya because they claimed no Acharya in that Sampradaya had given further commentary on, on the Vedas. So Baladev Vidyabhushan Acharya presented the Govinda Bhashya in order to refute the rejection by the Sri Sampradaya Vaishnavas for the authenticity of Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So that sounds like disrespect of Vaishnavas too.
Of course, seems like it was quite a tussle, and there may have been some disrespectful things said. The rejection was from a particular subset of the Sri Sampradaya, the Ramanandis, if I remember, not from the entire Sampradaya, but from a subsect. And there was some Of course, they didn't insult, as far as I know, the Gaudiya Vaishnavacharyas. They just said that, well, you don't have a commentary, because none of our acharyas had written a commentary. There's also, of course, what would we say, it was a highly motivated difference of opinion, because they were holding on to the worship of Radha Govinda as their exclusive right.
Sounds complicated. Krishna.
We weren't there, but you can just, we know that disagreements can become quite something.
Let's see. Tulsi Priya says, obeisances, Maharaj. Do you know if anyone ever documented the classes Srila Bhaktisiddhanta gave over those 3 months? I once put out a general request for any leads, but came up empty.
I don't know. Pradumna might know, or someone, perhaps others might know, but I don't know.
And Panchatattva Prabhu says, to be fair, the excerpt from the 3rd canto purport I quoted was in reference to Uddhava's deference to Sri Maitreya Rishi when Vidura approached Uddhava to hear transcendental knowledge from him. In essence, Uddhava was showing the proper etiquette by recommending the senior Maitreya Rishi.
Krishna Abhishek Prabhu might know about that, those lectures in Dhaka. He's there in the lecture in Gainesville.
And Tulsi Priya posts a very helpful housekeeping note, friendly reminder of a rule I violated recently. Please wait to post in the chat box until whoever is reading a post is done. It causes the chat to jump and makes it difficult to read. Thank you.
That was my offense. Please forgive me.
I forgive you. And Saraswati Mata says, Hanuman took the full brunt of the weapon Chandrahasa gifted by Shiva to Ravana. So even though Hanuman could counteract that weapon released out of respect for Shiva, he took the wound from the weapon.
Garuda also, with the thunderbolt weapon of Indra, he dropped some feathers, if I remember. He gave respect to it.
And Tulsi Priya's hand is up.
Yes, Hare Krishna. I just wanted to say I appreciated the correction from Maharaj about my comment of the attitude spoiling the commentary, and it was just reminding me of how I've heard that when senior devotees are in disagreement with each other, or heavy disagreement with each other, or fighting or whatever, that it's not for the younger devotees to take sides in terms of fighting on the behalf of the senior devotee. So I was thinking, Radhesha Prabhu's attitude is better. There may be something valuable there, and we should appreciate, and not judge. But at the same time, if our own gurus and acharyas don't refer to that work, then we don't have to either so much.
Jai. All right. Which brings us to text number 37, which has no purport. And Prabhu, please go ahead and read until there's a purport, which occurs in 39.
Okay. Bhagavate Attavakti Siddhante Rasar Likiyache Ihajani Kariya Udhar. In Sri Chaitanya Mangala, later known as Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has given the conclusion and essence of devotional service by quoting the authoritative statements of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Mangala Shune Yadi Pashande Yavan Seha Maha Vaishnava Vayatatakshan. If even a great atheist hears Sri Chaitanya Mangala, he immediately becomes a great devotee. Manushye Rachitenare Oiche Granta Dhanya Vrindavana Darsha Mukhe Vakta Sri Chaitanya. The subject matter of this book is so sublime that it appears that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has personally spoken through the writings of Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur. Purport. Srila Sanatana Goswami has written in his Hari Bhakti Vilas, Avaishnava Mukodgiranam Putam Harikatamritam Shravanam Naiva Kartavyam Sarpochishtam Yatapayaha. One should not hear anything about Krishna from a non-Vaishnava. Milk touched by the lips of a serpent has poisonous effects. Similarly, talks about Krishna given by a non-Vaishnava are also poisonous. Transcendental literature that strictly follows the Vedic principles and the conclusion of the Puranas and Pancharatrika Vidhi can be written only by a pure devotee. It is not possible for a common man to write books on bhakti, for his writings will not be effective. He may be a very great scholar and may be very expert in presenting literature in flowery language, but this is not at all helpful in understanding transcendental literature. Even if transcendental literature is written in faulty language, it is acceptable if it is written by a devotee. Whereas so-called transcendental literature written by a mundane scholar, even if it is a very highly polished literary presentation, cannot be accepted. The secret in a devotee's writing is that when he writes about the pastimes of the Lord helps him. He does not write alone. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 10:10, Dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. Since a devotee writes in service to the Lord from within gives him so much intelligence that he sits down near the Lord and goes on writing books. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami confirms that what Vrindavan Das Thakur wrote was actually spoken by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he simply repeated it. The same holds true for Sri Caitanya-caritamrta. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami wrote Sri Caitanya-caritamrta in his old age, in an invalid condition. But it is such a sublime literature that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj used to say, the time will come when the people of the world will learn Bengali to read Sri Caitanya-caritamrta. We are trying to present Sri Caitanya-caritamrta in English and do not know how successful it will be. But if one reads the original Caitanya-caritamrta in Bengali, he will relish increasing ecstasy in devotional service. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshuru Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Well, in that purport, you can hear a flow of ecstasy coming out of Srila Prabhupada's pen. It's very, very powerful. In regard to the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, I was fortunate to attend a program last week at the home of a devotee. It was convened by Dhruva Maharaj Das. And there were a whole bunch of disciples there. There was a small house, small room. The rooms had been, it was a little dark. It was almost like it was lit by lamplight. And the devotees were reading from the Mahaprakash pastimes of Lord Chaitanya and Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. And every devotee was taking a turn reading a particular section. And then there was this ecstatic discussion. And devotees were expressing their realizations. And I couldn't help but sit there and think, sometime after the disappearance of Mahaprabhu and Lord Nanda and maybe many of his personal associates, there must have been devotees who were doing like this, who were discussing and relishing and remembering. So it was very nice. It's a wonderful reflection on Srila Prabhupada's efforts that we have the Sri Caitanya-caritamrta to read in English. I think it is very safe to say, based upon the number of enthusiastic and ecstatic devotees that relish these books and that become worshippers of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, that it has come out all right. That even in spite of Srila Prabhupada saying he does not know how successful it will be, it's a marvelous success. Srila Prabhupada warns us in this purport that we should not hear from non-devotees or materialistic persons, or even if they're so-called scholars on these subject matters. And again, our great fortune is that Srila Prabhupada made such a strenuous effort at all hours of the night throughout many years to make these books available in an authorized fashion, and that his disciples worked diligently to help present these books so that future generations can relish the nectar of Sri Caitanya-caritamrta and Srimad-Bhagavatam and so on. In this way, we can count our blessings, although I think as we count them, we will find that they become more and more innumerable, uncountable. So wonderful. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Maharaj?
It's especially wonderful. Prabhupada, in his last days, said that translating books is not so easy. He said it's not a matter of ABCD. He said people like our books because they offer realized knowledge. So here we get quite a realized description of how Srila Prabhupada wrote his books. It wasn't ABCD, as he said, but Krishna, he's sitting down near Krishna, and Krishna's giving him the intelligence what to write. So a mundane scholar can't do that. He relies on his intellectual resources, which are a product of a higher section of the material energy, but he can't penetrate the spiritual realm just by such mundane powers, and therefore the devotees are not interested. We know that there's a Caitanya-caritamrta edition written by translated by great scholars, but the devotees are not very interested in it because we know that the transcendental literature doesn't reveal itself through that channel. One may get an accurate scholarly translation, but it won't have the same potency, it won't have the same effect, it won't reflect the same level of realization. We know, in fact, that of one scholar, celebrated scholar, who would write books by taking a fair amount of alcohol and then sitting behind the computer and banging it out. And so you may publish with great university presses that way, and you may be, your books may be very much appreciated by other mundane scholars, but it won't have the transcendental power to convey the essence of the text or to bring people to the understanding intended by the author. That needs a that needs a devotee to do. A devotee like Srila Prabhupada, or someone following in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. It's not ABCD.
I have a question about that.
Yes.
So what about writers who might say, oh, I have divine inspiration, and they think it's an act of God, and then we also learn that someone's spark of intelligence or ability is Krishna. So what about that?
Yeah, what about someone who says, well, I have divine inspiration from God, and then they write something, and we know that God does give people divine inspirations. But Prabhupada quoted here, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Panchatra Vidim Vina. If the conclusions don't line up with the revelations of the Shrutis and the Puranas and Bhagavad Gita, then the devotees aren't interested. And we know so many books, people, they get inspiration, they have visions, they go into trance, one way or another, they connect with spiritual energy or with the divine or what have you, but they don't follow the parampara system, and they don't match conclusions given by the Shastras and by the Acharyas. Here, Kaviraj Goswami glorifies Vrindavan Das Thakur for his Chaitanya Mangal because Siddhantera Sar, it gives the essence of the accepted conclusions, Siddhantas, of Vaishnava philosophy. Not, wow, he was really inspired. Wow, who could have, blah, blah, blah. It's not that. There's a lot of that kind of literature out there in the marketplace, but it doesn't really go anywhere. And some of them are enormously popular. The books of people who are very spiritual and who write, very well. They have a gift for simplicity and and simplicity in storytelling and sort of what's the word? Writing in a way that's very spiritual, that's very broad and has a sort of cosmic feel to it, but it doesn't really go anywhere, and therefore those who read the books don't really go anywhere. One such book, and at the end, there's like a moment of ecstasy where the main character says to his friend, Govinda, this rock is everything. Wow, that's deep. But what the heck does it mean? And even what was the author's understanding? How is this rock everything? That we get from Bhagavad Gita as it is, that everything is different from Krishna, but non-different from Krishna. So in that sense, Krishna is present in the rock, so the rock is everything. But at the same time, the rock's not everything. The rock is a rock. But we come to a sort of impersonal Mayavad conclusion that the devotee comes to the conclusion, Vasudev Sarvamiti, Krishna is everything. And the mundane writer gives you the conclusion that this rock is everything. So it doesn't quite make it. It doesn't make it at all.
And interestingly, Krishna gives the inspiration by which they can contradict proper philosophy. Krishna is so merciful that he even provides the faculties to these mundane, even if they're not even trying to be spiritual, even if they're like purely mundane academics or whatever it is, Paramatma is giving the inspiration by which they figure out the next formula.
To be atheistic.
Yeah, to be atheistic. Krishna allows that and even gives that inspiration. He gives them faith wherever you repose your interest, Krishna gives you the faith by which you can pursue.
Through Maya, though, not through Krishna directly, right?
Yeah.
In those cases.
We have some things in our chat window going back just a little bit in our discussion. Praveen Krishna Prabhu posts, Mahaprabhu instructs Vallabhacharya, quote, Sridhar Swami is the spiritual master of the entire world because by his mercy we can understand Srimad-Bhagavatam. I therefore accept him as a spiritual master. Whatever you might write due to false pride, trying to surpass Sridhar Swami, would carry a contrary purport. Therefore, no one would pay attention to it. One who comments on Srimad-Bhagavatam following in the footsteps of Sridhar Swami will be honored and accepted by everyone. Put forth your explanation of Srimad-Bhagavatam following in the footsteps of Sridhar Swami. Giving up your false pride, worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And he says, Vallabhacharya did do it, quoted sometimes by our Goswamis.
Just give me a moment here. The book I had in mind was made into a film, and it was memorably reviewed. The film was memorably reviewed by the New York Times, who says, one either accepts Siddhartha with rapture and the kind of ecstasy that is novocaine to thought, or one throws up.
On that same topic, Nanda says, the reply to the fellow with the rock should be, hey, dude, you're losing your marbles.
Hare Krishna.
Tulsi Priya, you have a hand up?
Yes. Hi, Krishna.
Just from a literary point of view, the Hermann Hesse has sort of, there are modern writers, contemporary writers today who write sort of in the same vein, and they sell huge numbers of books and get appreciation from great men, but the same fault is there. I'm sorry, Supriya, I cut you off.
Oh, that's okay. No, you when you mentioned Hermann Hesse, I was a fan back in the day, and what you were saying reminds me of a phrase that I don't know if we hear much of nowadays: spiritual sense gratification. You know, you read something and it makes you feel, you know, nice and ooey gooey inside and very elevated and everything. And it's just, I used to have the same feelings about Krishnamurti. You know, it was baffling because he really didn't say anything that made much sense, but it was enough to make me feel like I was reading something deep because I was so confused. And so I also wanted to ask you about, sometimes I've read things by devotees who are in academia, and it's like you get a sense that they're not writing full force, you know, like they would if they were writing only for devotees. They're hinting, intimating at you know, the real benefit of bhakti yoga, and but at the same time they're trying to fit, you know, they're speaking to a certain audience, and so they write in a certain way. And so I was wondering how to understand the value of that, because it's not like Prabhupada, you know, all engines in full speed ahead, but at the same time they're trying to give something, but it's not quite the same effect.
Well, of course, they're playing within the rules, as they must, to be in the academic arena. But it's quite impressive what they are able to say within those rules. So you see, for example, Tamal Krishnamurti's book, which has said so much, told so much about Srila Prabhupada and presented him in a way that enables scholars to appreciate his contribution on their own terms. I've read Gopal Hari's book on Maya and Srimad-Bhagavatam has been very helpful. We in this course, in these seminars, these classes, have made use of his chart, his Sankhya Yoga chart. And there's much in his book that really is illuminating. Even for devotees, there's a lot of information that they might not have known, which would deepen their appreciation for Srimad Bhagavatam. Similarly, I've for my book Vanity Karma, I was looking for a reliable source for something of the history of Chaitanya Vaishnavism, and the usual go-to back in the day was S.K. Day. I really wasn't really happy about that, to have to refer to his ideas, his books. And I was so happy to find that there was a book by Ravi Gupta, Radhika Ramana, that gave that was so much, such a pleasure to refer to. And other devotees have become like the authorities on Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, on Bhaktivinoda Thakur. They've become on Jiva Goswami, on the poetry of Kavi Karnapur. So they're really reclaiming the territory, or being the first to claim the territory in the name of, as the province of Vaishnava scholars. So rather than have some mundaner sort of own the territory, because scholars do that, doctoral people with doctorates own the territory of what they write about, until, of course, someone else comes along. But everyone has to refer to whoever's there first, or whoever's written very extensively. And now for many of our own topics, it's the devotees who are there first. And it can be a real source of enlightenment and pleasure, even for the devotees, to read what the devotee scholars have written. And for the academic scholars, it becomes the point of reference. If you want to know something about Chaitanya Vaishnavism, if you want to know something about Jiva Goswami, if you want to know something about Kavi Karnapur, if you want to know something about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, then your starting place will be these works written by devotees who are fully respectful to the Vaishnava conclusions and the Vaishnava acharyas. They may present it in an academic language, and they may not go, as you say, full throttle the way that Srila Prabhupada does. But Srila Prabhupada was writing for the whole world, not just for scholars. And these Vaishnava scholars have taken on the particular task of presenting Krishna consciousness as academically worthwhile, and even as a source of great wealth in thought and aesthetics and appreciation. So I think we have a lot to appreciate there, and a lot to be grateful for there. If you look at the article on Srila Prabhupada in Wikipedia, for example, you'll see that it references so many authorities who are accepted as authorities because they're published by Columbia University Press or Oxford University Press or another such stalwart authority, and they have doctoral degrees and their publications are recognized. And but they're establishing authoritatively Srila Prabhupada's qualifications or various accomplishments of Srila Prabhupada. So there's there's great value in their work.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Thanks to them for their work.
We're almost at the end of our time. We have 3 more items in the chat. Saraswati Mata wanted to point out the Pushti Margis find it painful to be constantly reminded about the mistake made by Vallabha Acharya, which may take away from the exceptional bhakti and prema he attained. And they state that even Lord Brahma has made shocking mistakes too, but he is still a respected founder of a sampradaya, because Brahma too corrected his behavior, and one isn't fixated on his mistakes, but focus on his bhakti.
Srila Prabhupada said that actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Ballabhacharya were friends. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could make such a remark, and it wasn't untoward. But, or he said that they're like lawyers in the courtroom. When they're in the court, they fight. They have some point that they spar over. But then when they're out of the courtroom again, they're friends.
Thank you, Maharaj. And Praveen Krishna Prabhu says, the Bengali recitations are very relishable to those who know Bengali when recited and commented for context by devotees. One can hear His Holiness Bhakti Prema Swami. And Tulsi Priya says, what Maharaj has just said about devotees and academics reminds me of the metaphor of the wife with the paramour. The scholarly devotees are carefully executing their duties to the academy, but internally they are fanning their devotion. Thank you, thank you. And time for kirtan.
We have a kirtan band here.
Sridevi, will do some kirtan?
I do.
Us.
Rad.
Come join Ananda. Let's do kirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Srimad Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Stotra Shata Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Stotra Shata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada ki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Prem
Jai.
Sikho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Jai Shri
Jai.
Shri Radha Shri Gopinath Shyamukund Radhakund Giri Govardhana ki
Jai.
Caitamrita ki
Jai.
Some of devotees, all
Thank
glories to some of devotees, all glories to some of devotees. Nitai Gaura Premanandi.
Jai, thank you so much for the kirtan. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Kendra Prabhu. And thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Very well.
Shri Caitanya-caritamrta ki jai. Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami ki jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Jai.
Gorpinande.
Very well.
And thank you to Radesha Prabhu and family for hosting Maharaj.
Jai.
It's a sweet scene over there.
We're gonna let everyone smell the flowers.
Yeah.
I wish. So nice.
Wow.
Right?
Oh, man.
All kinds.
Jai.
Oh, gorgeous.
Of that.
And a sweet baby.
Oh, well, they can see us.
Yes. Big boy. Howdy.
Hare Krishna.